Welcome. Let's explore today how it is that reality is easy to see, but unreality is hard to let go of. That's not typically recognized. We think we're seeing reality as it is, and it's easy to see how that would happen when you think about the toddler who is already one with this shimmering actuality. The toddler sees no separate this and that. The toddler has no concept of a me or another. The toddler is one with this endless, infinite existence, and it doesn't know any of that language. So that's its advantage that you know, it already is what it is, and it's one with everything. That's the reality of actuality. Okay. So then we learn language. And of course, there's nobody giving us a caveat saying, you know, this really isn't like this, but, you need to survive. It's just learned and believed. So here we are. Reality is easy to see, but hard to let go of. What exactly does that mean? So I've been, like I said, attending many satsang, and my, I would say, final teacher, Peter, when we worked together as a group, and he would share, and we would ask questions. It very soon became so clear to me how I had been experiencing reality absolutely upside down. I mean, it's true for all of us, but you have to recognize that for yourself because um, due to our belief system that has not been investigated much at all, typically, um, we think this is it. There's no problem. So for me, it was truly seeing how the reality I held to be a certain way was upside down. That was my motivation to really investigate this whole, I don't even know what to call it, this whole notion of how I thought things were and and what I believed and what I just took as everyday fact. I really began to see how it was not. So I jotted down a few notes because I'm not really good at holding facts in my mind uh, these days. It's just kind of a free flow. So for me to be succinct, I'm going to take a peek at um, what I jotted down. Aspects of actuality, meaning presence is not confined to time or location. What does that mean? Presence, which is what we are and what this is not confined to time or location. It means that time doesn't exist in the way that we hold it to exist psychologically. You know, this is where it's so important to recognize that the infinite and the human perspective are what is my favorite word? Suffused. They are suffused. They are not separate. So everything that is being discussed here has this infiniteness and this humanness at the same time, because obviously the human needs to, get to the airport or get to work or whatever. So timelessness is, I mean, if you can just be with, for example, um, just waking up in the morning, if you don't have to rush off anywhere, and just feel before the thought starts getting going and babbling about, just feel the spaciousness of this presence with you'll experience maybe a feeling of not even a body or a me if you're really investigating here. Um, there's just this, what you'll notice is there's sensation, there's breath, and all the rest of the ideas about anything can simply fall away. And non-location, meaning as you knew as a toddler, there is no here or there. There is no inside or outside. There is no up or down. You know, a lot of spiritual conversations talk about inner life. I mean, I thought that way myself um, when I was studying other quote unquote spiritual traditions. But none of those location designations exist in actuality. There's just here. A sound is heard. Thought will say, oh, it's over there. But again, without location, there is simply here. Sound is heard here. The tree is seen here. So these are shifts in perspective. And it's very important, I think, to really discover this for yourself and not turn it into a new belief. You're going to hear me repeating that over and over because uh, the ego mind is very hungry to imagine its own perfection rather than the perfection that's actually present. Another aspect of actuality is that reality is not a thing, but is always appearing as something. So that's a beautiful recognition. It's always appearing as something. Anywhere you put your attention, whether it's on sound or vision or sensation, something always seems to be appearing. Uh, an object, whatever you want to call it, you can call it a siren, you can call it a bird crow, you know, it always appears as something, but it's not a thing. It can't be pinned down. It's what is referred to as unresolvable. It doesn't resolve into being any particular thing. And that's a very key um, aspect because we're so used to holding things as actual things. Another aspect, inherent intelligence functions, occurs without a doer. Again, uh, we're programmed to perceive this I doing things, this I making decisions, this I getting things done, this I making mistakes, uh, we have a lot of opportunities to suffer over this imagined I uh, that we believe is a doer. And we don't see these things because we believe that there is this I doer. That's the way we hold it to be. But inherent intelligence is what is doing everything. This next aspect will fly in the face of, you know, most people's beliefs. Uh, Actuality has no origin and depends on nothing to exist. In other words, there's no cause and effect. Well, we were trained, it was hammered into our heads um, since we were children about cause and effect. And if you do this, that bad thing is going to happen, and you better not do that bad thing or you're going to be in trouble. So, again, this gets baked into our ideas about what anything is. So, each of these is really important. Uh, don't memorize them. Look and investigate and find out how this is true. Another aspect, and I'll read this because I just find this most remarkable. When someone says there's no mechanism for existence, they're pointing to the fact that what is here, this aliveness, this appearing world, does not come about through a process, a system, or a set of moving parts. It isn't produced, this existence isn't produced in the way a machine produces an outcome. It isn't assembled or driven or caused in the way the mind tends to imagine causation. Transcendental in this context means that it's prior to any explanation, prior to any structure that we could identify, map, or describe. In other words, existence appears without a how. It's already present before there can be any idea of a process. The mind may keep looking for some hidden engine behind everything, but what's being pointed to is that there is no engine. There's simply the appearing itself, already here without being generated by anything. Now, that to me sounds like it's suggesting that Big Bang is no more than a theory, that there is no beginnings and no endings. So, so I just love how this reality that we, you know, that we've been programmed to believe is, you know, really upside down. I hope I'm not ruining anybody's day, but it's just astonishing. And and it's not just people saying the earth is flat. I mean, they're just really disputing all of the programming that we've been taught to believe. And and how, oh, and this one other one that I wanted to mention. Um, this is beautiful. You are, I am the completeness this shimmering field appears as, but seems obscured due to the mental habits of interpretation. That is what's to be noticed because interpreting is going on just about all the time, just about all the time. The busy mind and how it just goes and goes, saying what this is, believing what that is, explaining this other thing, arguing about this other thing. I mean, that's our life. So just beginning to recognize how reality has been held and simply being with the presence of experience, sounds, sensations, color, light, the breath. Explore. There's nothing to believe here. Only discover for yourself. I'd love to hear your ponderings. Thank you so much for being here.